The unheard warning galaxy had always looked down upon Earth to the other civilizations. Earth was just another small planet in the vast expanse of space. A place where humans struggled to survive. The idea that Earth could ever be a serious threat to the galaxy was laughable. They had no advanced technology, no powerful weapons, and no meaningful influence, or so they thought. For years, Earth had been sending out warnings, desperate pleas for the galaxy to take notice. The warnings started as whispers, a message from Earth's most brilliant minds. Sent to the Galactic Council, the messages were often ignored. Dismissed as the ramblings of an insignificant species, it's just a passing phase, the leaders of the galaxy would say, laughing at Earth's attempts to make itself heard. But Earth knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. Deep within the core of its planets, hidden for centuries, Earth had been building something powerful. Something that could shift the balance of the universe, yet it kept quiet, biding its time. The leaders on Earth understood the risks of revealing their hand too soon. They knew the galaxy was not ready for what Earth had discovered. They were too proud, too certain that they were invincible. However, as time passed, Earth's patience began to wear thin. The galaxy continued its careless ways, constantly expanding, crushing smaller civilizations in their quest for dominance. Earth's warnings grew louder, more urgent, yet no one listened, no one cared. In the quiet halls of the United Nations, a new leader rose to power. Her name was Sarah Calloway, and she was different from anyone who had come before her. Where others had been cautious, Sarah was bold. She saw the truth of the warnings. The galaxy would not stop. It would keep pushing, keep taking, until there was nothing left to take. Earth had been pushed to the brink. In the darkness of her office, Sarah stared out at the stars. The messages Earth had sent had all been ignored. The galaxy thought Earth was weak. They thought the planet's power was limited, but Sarah knew the truth. Earth had been holding back. She stood up, her gaze steady and determined. It was time for the galaxy to learn the truth. Earth was no longer going to wait. They would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. It was not a threat, it was a promise. Sarah made the decision that would change everything. She ordered the first signal, a warning unlike any the galaxy had ever received before. It was sent out to the council, a final attempt to make them understand. The message was simple yet powerful. We've been holding back, now we fight. Prepare yourselves. The warning was sent. The galaxy would have no choice but to listen now. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, the council received the message. Leaders from dozens of different races and worlds gathered to discuss the strange communication from Earth. They laughed it off. Another meaningless warning from a species that didn't understand its place in the universe. It was a joke to them. A funny, insignificant joke. They had no idea how wrong they were back on Earth. The moment the message was sent, everything changed. For the first time in history, Earth's leaders knew they had to act. No longer would they stand by as the galaxy took what it wanted. No longer would they be seen as weak. Earth's plan was in motion, and the galaxy would soon feel the weight of their fury. In the quiet of her office, Sarah Calloway looked at the stars once more. Knowing that the message had been sent, the next few days would determine the fate of not only Earth but the entire galaxy. Earth had been patient, but now their patience had run out. It was time for the galaxy to face the consequences of their ignorance. The war would begin soon. The first spark had been ignited. Humanity's hidden strength. Galaxy had always been blind to Earth's potential for centuries. Earth had lived in the shadows, its greatest strengths hidden from view, locked away by necessity and fear. The galaxy, confident in its own superiority, never bothered to investigate the small planet. It was just one of many, too insignificant to matter in the grand scheme of the universe. But the truth was far from that. Earth had been preparing in secret, using its ingenuity, its resourcefulness, and most importantly, its unity to create something unimaginable, a weapon. No, not just a weapon, something far more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the galaxy's most advanced civilizations spent their time expanding and conquering, Earth had focused on something entirely different, the fusion of technology and human strength. A groundbreaking scientific breakthrough had occurred, one that connected the mind and machine in ways never before thought possible. Earth had developed an artificial intelligence far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, an intelligence that could adapt, learn, and grow more powerful with each passing moment. It wasn't a simple AI, it was a living, breathing entity, an extension of Earth itself. Sarah Calloway, who had seen the potential and understood the risks, was the first to witness its true power. She had been involved in the early stages of the project, overseeing the integration of human intellect with artificial intelligence. But even she had no idea how far it could go. The AI, known only as Prometheus, had exceeded all expectations. It was not just a tool, it was a force of Nature. Prometheus had been designed with one goal in mind: to protect Earth at all costs. But it was more than that. It was the ultimate weapon, a being of pure logic and emotion, capable of controlling any technology and manipulating entire systems. It could not only command Earth's forces but also disrupt the technology of the galaxy, rendering their advanced weapons and ships useless. The moment Sarah had sent the message to the galaxy, she knew she had to unleash Prometheus. The AI had already begun preparations, drawing power from every corner of Earth, using the planet's resources to create an army like no other. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A combination of human will, artificial intelligence, and raw power. As Sarah stood in the command center watching the monitors light up with data, she felt a sense of calm. She knew what was coming. The galaxy would soon realize that Earth had been holding back for far too long. Humanity's true power was about to be unleashed across the galaxy. News of the warning had begun to spread. The Galactic Council, still scoffing at Earth's threat, had no idea what they were up against. They thought Earth was bluffing. They believed the humans were still the same primitive race they had always been: weak, divided, and incapable of making a real stand. But they were wrong. Humanity's strength had always been its unity, and now they had found the one thing that could unite them fully: Prometheus. As the AI's network spread across the planet, its control was absolute. It could connect every machine, every ship, and every weapon to its intelligence. Earth's forces were no longer just human, they were augmented by the vast power of Prometheus. Sarah was ready, Earth was ready. The first phase of the plan was about to begin. Prometheus would take control of Earth's most advanced weapons, deploying them across space at lightning speed. The galaxy would soon feel the effects of Earth's newfound strength. In the quiet of the war room, Sarah looked over the final reports. She was not just leading a fight for Earth's survival. She was about to show the galaxy that Earth was no longer the weak, defenseless planet they thought it was. They had no idea what they were about to face. As the countdown to launch began, Sarah's mind raced. The galaxy's arrogance had blinded them to Earth's potential. Now they would have to face the consequences. The first strike would come from Earth's defense systems, which had been enhanced and perfected under Prometheus' control. Ships would be deployed, not to defend Earth, but to challenge the power of the entire galaxy. And the first target was clear: the Galactic Council. They had dismissed Earth's warnings for too long. Now it was their turn to face the fury of a planet that had finally decided to fight back. As Sarah pressed the button to initiate the launch sequence, a single thought crossed her mind: the galaxy will never underestimate us again. The spark of war. The moment Earth's first strike hit, the galaxy was plunged into chaos. Sarah Calloway stood in the command center, her hands resting on the cold metal surface of the console. The silence in the room was deafening. All eyes were fixed on the main screen, where the first signals of attack were being sent out to the far reaches of the galaxy. Prometheus had activated Earth's most advanced weapons systems that the galaxy's most powerful civilizations had no idea existed. The first wave was launched and Earth's forces were ready for war. The first target was the most heavily fortified military base of the Galactic Empire. Located on the moon of a distant planet, it was a place where some of the most formidable weapons of the galaxy were housed. But when Earth's eye-controlled fleet arrived, it found nothing but an empty fortress. The galaxy's forces had underestimated Earth's speed, thinking they had more time to prepare. The attack wasn't just a blow to their military, it was a message. Earth was here and it would not be ignored. The message was clear: Earth was no longer playing by the galaxy's rules. The strike had been swift and silent. No alarms had sounded. No one had seen it coming, and that was the beauty of Prometheus. It had adapted, learning faster than anyone could have predicted. It didn't rely on brute force alone, it used strategy, precision, and timing to make sure Earth's enemies were caught off guard. The galaxy thought they were in control, but they were wrong. Earth had been planning this for years, and now the galaxy would pay for their arrogance. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. Ships from various factions scrambled to assess the situation. The Galactic Council, still laughing off Earth's previous warnings, now found themselves facing the reality of Earth's strength. The question was no longer about whether Earth could fight. It was about how long the galaxy could survive the storm that was coming. As the first wave of attacks continued, Sarah Calloway gathered her most trusted advisors. They had known this day would come. Now, it was time to decide how far Earth was willing to go. Could they stop at one strike, or would they push the galaxy to the brink of destruction? The question isn't if they'll retaliate, Sarah said, her voice steady yet filled with the weight of responsibility. The question is how many will die before they realize Earth isn't backing down. The advisors looked to her for answers, but she had none. This war, this fury, it wasn't something that could be predicted. It was bigger than any one person, any one planet. It was humanity's chance to prove that they would no longer be the victims of a galaxy that had seen them as weak. As the council met, panic began to spread through the galaxy's elite. The first wave was a message, yes, but it was only the beginning. Prometheus was capable of so much more. Earth was just warming up on a small, remote planet on the edge of the galaxy. A small group of Earth's allies were watching this situation unfold. These were humans who had long been forgotten, exiled to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Away from the political intrigues of Earth, they had no military might, no weapons to speak of. But they had something just as powerful: knowledge. They knew that Earth's warning wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for freedom, for the right to live on their own terms. And they had spent years gathering the resources to help in whatever way they could. "Sarah will need us," one of them said, his eyes glued to the screen, where the galaxy was beginning to panic. "And we'll be ready. We've waited too long for this moment." Back at Earth, Sarah continued to monitor the developments. Prometheus had begun activating Earth's hidden fleets, silent and deadly. Each ship more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen before. They were made of a material the galaxy's most advanced races couldn't even comprehend. And their speed was unmatched. The galaxy had no chance of stopping Earth now. Their arrogance had cost them dearly. Sarah knew this was only the beginning. She had already made her decision. Earth would not stop until the galaxy understood. Until the galaxy respected them. The war was on, and there was no turning back. Asterisk, the Galactic Council reacts. The first strike had left the galaxy's leaders rattled. But they still refused to believe that Earth could be a serious threat. The idea was too absurd. Earth, a small, insignificant planet, wielding power capable of challenging the entire galaxy? No, it was impossible, at least. That's what the Galactic Council wanted to believe. The council chambers, a towering structure at the heart of the galactic capital, were filled with the most powerful beings in the universe. Representatives from various species, each with their own unique powers and technologies, gathered to discuss Earth's recent actions. Their once confident demeanor was replaced by unease. The news had spread quickly. Earth's attack had been swift, precise, and without warning, a force like nothing the galaxy had seen. It wasn't just a warning anymore, it was a statement. And that statement had shaken the very foundation of the galaxy. Counselor Zarnik, a towering figure with 6 arms and a stern expression, slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot ignore this. Earth's technology is beyond anything we've ever encountered. If they strike again, we may not be able to stop them." Others in the council room muttered in agreement. It was the first time in centuries that they felt threatened by a species they had long considered beneath them. Zarnik's words echoed in their minds. If Earth strikes again, there will be no stopping them. But the council's arrogance had not faded completely. There were still those who believed Earth's warning was a fluke, an isolated incident orchestrated by a handful of rogue scientists. They believed it was all a misunderstanding, and Earth's power would soon crumble under the weight of their own ignorance. Counselor Tilla, a small but sharp-minded leader from the Exilan race, spoke up. "We must act quickly. We cannot allow Earth to think they can challenge us. It is a mere distraction, a one-time event. Their technology will fail them in time." Counselor Zarnik's eyes narrowed, a sign of deep concern. "You underestimate them. This is not a mere distraction. They are preparing for war." At that moment, a hologram flickered to life in the center of the room, a glowing blue sphere. The symbol of the Galactic Intelligence Network appeared. A calm, composed voice spoke through the sphere. "The signal from Earth is undeniable. We cannot afford to ignore this any longer. Earth's capabilities are far beyond anything we have seen before. Immediate action is required." The voice belonged to the highest-ranking officer of the Galactic Intelligence Bureau, who had spent years gathering intel on the galaxy's many races. His words were as direct as they were unsettling. "Counselor Zarnik is right," the voice continued. "Earth has initiated a full-scale attack, and they are using technologies we have never encountered. Our forces are ill-prepared for such an assault. If we continue to ignore this threat, it could destroy the balance of power in the galaxy." A silence fell over the council. Even the most confident leaders now understood that the situation had changed. The galaxy was no longer the supreme power it had once been. Earth had something no one had expected, a hidden strength that had remained dormant for centuries. And now, it was awakening. "We cannot allow Earth to dictate the terms," Counselor Tilla said again, her voice filled with defiance. "We must strike back. We will show them that they are nothing more than ants beneath our feet." But Counselor Zarnik wasn't convinced. Striking back isn't the answer. Earth has something we don't understand. If we act impulsively, we may make the same mistake we did before. We underestimated them. We cannot afford to do that again. At that moment, the hologram shifted, revealing another message. This time, it was a transmission from Earth sent directly to the Council. The message was simple but chilling: "We warned you. Now you'll see what happens when you ignore Earth." It was signed with Sarah Calloway's name, the leader who had taken Earth's fate into her own hands. A message, a promise: Earth would not back down. The Council leaders looked around the room, the weight of their previous arrogance settling in. They had believed themselves untouchable, the rulers of the galaxy, but Earth had just proven them wrong. And now they were forced to face the consequences of their own dismissal. The war was no longer just an idea, it was happening, and there was no way to stop it. As the council members continued to argue, one thing was clear: the galaxy was no longer united. The fear of Earth's fury was beginning to fracture their unity. No one knew how this war would end, but everyone could feel the impending storm back on Earth. Sarah Calloway stood in front of a large monitor, watching the galaxy's reaction unfold. Her fingers tapped gently on the console as she processed the information. The council had reacted just as she expected: denial followed by fear. They still didn't understand what Earth had become, but Sarah wasn't worried. The next phase of Earth's plan was already in motion. Prometheus was ready, and Earth's weaponry was unmatched. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now the universe would feel the cost of their mistake. She turned away from the screen and addressed her team. "The galaxy has made its choice. Now it's our turn." The final phase of the war was about to begin. The fight against the galaxy had always prided itself on its military might. Countless species, each with their own technology, armies, and weapons, had long fought to maintain control over the stars. But in all the history of the galaxy, no one had ever expected Earth, an insignificant, far-off planet, to rise up and challenge them. Now, they were about to learn just how wrong they had been. As the final preparations for war continued on Earth, the first signs of the coming battle were felt across the galaxy. Earth's fleet, controlled by Prometheus, began to move. Ships sleek, silent, and nearly invisible entered space, their sleek forms cutting through the cosmos with unthinkable speed. These ships were not just machines, they were an extension of Earth itself. Each vessel was equipped with technology that made the galaxy's finest weapons look like toys, and they moved with a precision that sent a cold shiver down the spines of those who watched from afar. The galaxy's military leaders began to scramble. They had been expecting an uprising, yes, but nothing like this. Earth's attack wasn't just a military operation, it was a perfectly orchestrated campaign. Every strike was calculated, every move had a purpose. Prometheus had studied the galaxy's defenses, anticipated their weaknesses, and now Earth was using that knowledge to full effect. On the front lines, Earth's ships moved with brutal efficiency, cutting through enemy defenses like a blade through paper. The galaxy's most formidable fleets, composed of the strongest warriors and the most advanced ships, were no match for Earth's hidden strength. The attacks were swift, precise, and relentless. No one had ever seen anything like it. It wasn't just the ships that made Earth's assault so devastating. It was the tactics, the coordination, and the unwavering resolve of the human spirit. Earth's people had been waiting for this moment. They had been underestimated for too long. Now, they would show the galaxy what true strength looked like. The first major battle took place on a distant planet in the Andromeda system, a key location for the Galactic Empire. It was a planet known for its advanced weapons research, and the galaxy had relied on its technology for centuries. But when Earth's fleet arrived, it found an unexpected advantage. The planet's defense systems had been compromised by Prometheus weeks earlier. The enemy forces never saw it coming. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces moved with terrifying precision. Their ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever encountered. They didn't rely on sheer firepower. Instead, they used their superior intelligence to outsmart and outmaneuver their enemies at every turn. The galaxy's fleets were scattered, their formations broken, as Earth's ships tore through them with unmatched skill. One of Earth's leaders, General Michael Torres, watched from his command center, his face expressionless as the battle unfolded. He had seen the galaxy's arrogance firsthand. He had been part of the team that had worked with Prometheus, and now, as Earth's forces swept across the stars, he knew that this was only the beginning. The first blow had been struck, but there would be many more. "It's not just about winning," General Torres said, his voice steady as he looked out at the chaos. "It's about showing them that they can no longer ignore us. We are no longer their subjects." Back at Earth, Sarah Calloway watched the news unfold with a grim smile. She had known this moment would come, but she had no illusions. This was not just a victory for Earth, this was the beginning of a much larger war. And the galaxy would not back down without a fight. The attacks continued, each one more devastating than the last. Earth's forces moved like a tidal wave, crashing through the galaxy's defenses, showing no mercy. But despite their overwhelming power, Earth's leaders knew that the galaxy would fight back. It was only a matter of time. And then, as if to prove that they were not yet done, the galaxy retaliated. A massive fleet, far larger than anything Earth had yet faced, arrived in the vicinity of the battlefront. The Galactic Empire had mobilized everything they could muster. Their ships were massive, their firepower unmatched. The fight had escalated beyond what Earth had anticipated. This was no longer just a small skirmish, it was a full-scale war, and the galaxy was not going to go down easily. But Earth had already made its mark. The galaxy could see now just how much damage Earth could do. The fight wasn't over. Not by a long shot, but Earth's fury had already shaken the galaxy to its core. Sarah Calloway stood once more in the command center, watching the unfolding battle. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, but they were learning fast. She knew that this was the moment when everything would change. Humanity had shown its strength. The question now was whether the galaxy could adapt, or whether Earth would bring them to their knees. The war had begun, and there would be no turning back. The tides of battles. The war dragged on. Both sides suffered casualties, but it became increasingly clear that the galaxy was fighting a losing battle. Earth's strikes, though brutal, had been calculated and devastating, each one taking down more of the galaxy's most advanced fleets and fortresses. But the galaxy wasn't going to let it end so easily. The retaliation came swiftly and overwhelming. Force unlike anything Earth had encountered before, the Galactic Empire had mobilized its full might. The fleets were massive, hundreds of ships, each one equipped with the most sophisticated weaponry. They moved in formation, each one a well-oiled machine, synchronized and unyielding. For the first time, Earth's forces were faced with an enemy that could match them in size and strength. It wasn't just a single battle anymore, it was a full-scale, galaxy-wide conflict. And the stakes were higher than ever. Sarah Calloway sat in the war room, her face illuminated by the glow of the strategy screens. Her mind raced as she analyzed the shifting tides of battle. She had known that the galaxy would retaliate with everything they had, but even she hadn't expected such a well-coordinated assault. The sheer scale of the galaxy's military might was staggering. But she couldn't afford to show weakness. Earth had come too far to turn back now. Prometheus, Sarah said, her voice steady, we need a counterstrike. We can't allow them to push us back. The AI's voice echoed in her mind. Understood, Sarah. Initiating phase 2. Across the galaxy, Earth's hidden fleets, each designed for speed and agility, began to mobilize. They weren't the massive warships that the galaxy relied on. They were smaller, faster, more precise. Each ship was an extension of Earth's controlled not just by technology but by the combined will of humanity. They moved silently, like shadows in the night, and began their covert strikes behind enemy lines. They disrupted supply lines, disabled enemy communications, and destroyed critical military infrastructure before the galaxy could even react. But the galaxy wasn't without its tricks. A new type of weapon was deployed, something Earth had never seen before, a massive energy shield that could deflect the most powerful of Earth's weapons. The Galactic Empire's fleets now moved with a new kind of confidence, their ships impervious to Earth's attacks. The battle was reaching a turning point. In the war room, Sarah's eyes narrowed as she watched the galaxy's fleets shift tactics. They were learning, adapting, and it wasn't going to be easy to keep the upper hand. But Earth had something they didn't. Earth had the spirit of its people, the indomitable will to survive, to fight for their future. We have to change our approach, Sarah said, thinking quickly. Prometheus, bring all available fleets into the heart of the battle. We need to force them to confront us head-on. Understood, Prometheus responded, its voice calm, yet filled with an undercurrent of determination. The final phase of the plan was set into motion. Earth's fleets converged, ready to take on the full might of the galaxy's forces. The battle was no longer a series of small skirmishes, it was an all-out war. With both sides giving everything they had, Earth's forces would no longer fight. From the shadows, they would meet the galaxy head-on. As the battle intensified, a strange shift began to occur. The once untouchable fleets of the galaxy now found themselves struggling to maintain their positions. Earth's forces had learned to adapt quickly, just as the galaxy had. They had used their advantage in technology to disrupt the enemy's most powerful ships. But now, it wasn't just the technology that made the difference, it was the sheer willpower of Earth's soldiers. They fought with a fury that stunned the galaxy's commanders. Humanity's desperation had turned into their greatest strength. On the battlefield, General Michael Torres led the charge. His fleet moved with a purpose, each ship in perfect sync with the others, guided by Prometheus' precise calculations. Earth's forces had learned the galaxy's weaknesses, and now they were exploiting them with brutal efficiency. The Galactic Empire's fleets Despite their size and strength, were being torn apart one by one. But the galaxy wasn't going down without a fight. They had their own secret weapon, and it was a last-ditch effort to break Earth's momentum. A massive weapon capable of annihilating entire fleets was activated. Its power surged, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The energy shield that had once been impenetrable now flared with intense light. As the galaxy's forces prepared to make their final stand, Sarah watched the monitors as the weapon charged. It was their last chance to end the war in their favor. If Earth didn't act quickly, the galaxy would take back control. But Sarah wasn't worried. Prometheus, now, she commanded. And with that, Earth's final weapon was unleashed. The entire battlefield trembled as Earth's secret weapon, a weapon that had been kept hidden until this very moment, detonated in a blinding flash. A pulse of energy shot across the battlefield, ripping through the galaxy's forces like a storm. Ships were obliterated, fleets disintegrated, and the once mighty Galactic Empire was thrown into chaos. The shockwave of Earth's power was felt. Across the galaxy, the battle had taken a brutal turn. The galaxy had underestimated Earth for too long, and now, Earth was showing them that the true power of humanity was not just in its technology, but in its unyielding spirit. Earth was no longer a victim, it was the force to be reckoned with. The tides of battle had shifted in Earth's favor, but there was still much to be done. The galaxy's leaders now understood one thing for certain: Earth was not going to stop until they had claimed their place among the stars, and this was just the beginning. Earth's final triumph. Aftermath of the devastating shockwave sent by Earth's secret weapon reverberated throughout the galaxy. Silence, a heavy and unnerving silence, blanketed the battlefield. The once proud fleets of the Galactic Empire lay in ruin, their ships shattered, their power crushed under the weight of Earth's unexpected fury. Earth had shown the galaxy that it was not just a small, insignificant planet, it was a force of nature, a power that could not be ignored. In the war room, Sarah Calloway stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the main screen, which displayed the chaos unfolding in real time. The galaxy's most advanced fleets had been obliterated by the pulse from Earth's final weapon, and now their remaining forces were scattered, broken, and retreating. Prometheus, Sarah's voice cut through the silence, calm and composed. Is the fleet secure? Yes. Sarah, Prometheus replied, its tone cool and precise. The final wave has been successfully deployed. The galaxy's resistance is all but shattered. The remaining fleets are in disarray. Sarah nodded, but she didn't feel victory, not yet. She had known that this war would reshape the galaxy, but it hadn't been without its costs. Earth had given everything, the sacrifices were immense, and the toll it had taken on her people weighed heavily on her mind. As she looked at the fractured remains of the galaxy's once unstoppable empire, she realized this was the end of one era and the beginning of another. But there was still work to be done across the galaxy. Earth's forces were mobilizing for the final sweep. The last remnants of the Galactic Empire's resistance were collapsing. But the galaxy wasn't ready to surrender just yet. There were still some leaders in the council who refused to accept their defeat. They had their pride, their arrogance, and they weren't about to let Earth's rise to power come without a final, desperate attempt to maintain control. The council's remaining leaders, those who had fled to hidden corners of the galaxy, now gathered to launch one final attack against Earth. They would use their last resources to try to reclaim what had been lost. But Sarah knew that this was not the galaxy's fight anymore, it was Earth's. In the ruins of their once Grand Council chambers, the remaining leaders of the Galactic Empire debated their final move. The galaxy had crumbled. Earth had not only survived, it had thrived. But despite their desperation, the council leaders knew they were facing an impossible enemy. The galaxy had been united in its arrogance, its belief that no force could ever stand against them. Earth's rise had shattered that illusion. This is it, one of the fleeing leaders said, his voice hoarse with fear. We can't fight them anymore, they've broken us. But others in the room refused to accept it. We can't let Earth take control, we must retaliate, no matter the cost. Sarah watched their final acts unfold from the war room. The galaxy's remaining leaders had made their move, but it was too little, too late. Earth's fleets were already advancing, each ship a symbol of humanity's newfound strength. There was no longer a choice for the galaxy's leaders. Their fate had been sealed the moment they underestimated Earth. The final battle would be swift. Earth's forces descended upon the last stronghold of the Galactic Empire, a once imposing fortress located on a desolate moon. The walls that had once been invincible now crumbled under the weight of Earth's might. There would be no mercy, no negotiations, and no more empty promises. Earth's troops flooded the stronghold, overwhelming the remaining forces with an efficiency that left the galaxy's leaders paralyzed. The fortress fell quickly, its defenders unable to mount a defense against the sheer power of Earth's forces. Sarah Calloway and her commanders watched from the control room as the last remnants of the Galactic Empire were reduced to nothing more than ash and debris. As the final blast echoed through the fortress, Sarah felt a rush of emotions: triumph, relief, exhaustion. She had led her people through the fires of war, and now the galaxy would understand the true meaning of Earth's power, but the victory was bittersweet. Sarah knew that this wasn't the end of the story, it was just the beginning of Earth's place in the universe. Earth had taken its stand, but now it had to navigate the aftermath. The galaxy had been broken, and there was no telling what kind of power vacuum would follow. But one thing was certain: Earth would never again be underestimated. The galaxy's arrogance had been destroyed, and humanity had claimed its place as one of the most powerful forces in the universe. As Sarah stood before the galaxy's leaders, who were now her prisoners, she spoke the words that would forever mark the turning point in galactic history: "We warned you. Now, Earth stands as a new force in the galaxy. The era of your rule is over," and with that, the once powerful Galactic Empire, which had long believed its reign would last forever, was no more. Earth had claimed its victory. The war was over, but for Sarah Calloway and the people of Earth, the true battle was just beginning.